Good morning. Historic flooding, a series of storms leads to deadly flooding in Washington state and parts of Canada. Today, residents are still trying to recover what comes next for the areas affected.
Plus, children vaccinated pediatric vaccines for COVID-19 have made their way to Delaware County, where kids are getting their shots and what counties have already used up their supplies.
And a cool down is on the way, but winter weather is creeping in. Our weather team times out how fast those temperatures will drop. So get the coffee ready and open up those eyes. You're waking up with Cardinal weather.
From Ball State Unified Media, you're waking up with Cardinal weather, live from the Ball State Weather Center.
Good Friday morning to you. You're waking up with Cardinal weather. I'm Anna Chalker.
And I'm Rebecca Rosado. You know, this morning was quite a chilly start to the day, and it has been for a while.
Yes, I know we've been on this temperature roller coaster for the past couple days, and I heard we're stopping with the 60s. Ryan, what do you got for us?
Yes, unfortunately, we are going to be stopping with those 60s because we're going to see some 20s for highs in our forecast. I'll get to that in just a bit. But take a look at these temperatures right now. 27 degrees in Indianapolis, 33 degrees in Muncie, 30 degrees in Kokomo. Lafayette sitting at 25 degrees at this time yesterday. And at this time yesterday, we were in the 40s, and then we started dropping from there. We also had those 60s, and we're not going to be seeing that anytime soon. These temperatures from this time yesterday was much cooler, 10 degrees in Shelbyville, 13 in Terre Haute, and 14 degrees cooler than we were at this time yesterday in Bloomington. Now, look at the wind gusts. Those are also a factor as well, because those winds are going to be pretty gusty at times, as you see as we go through the weekend, and you're going to see that as we go do early next week as well. Now, because of those winds, those wind chill factors look much colder than we are. We had 27 degrees. It feels like 27 degrees in Muncie. It feels like 20 in Indianapolis, 22 in Kokomo, and 25 degrees in Lafayette at this hour. Now, coming up, we're going to be tracking a wet weekend because we do have some rain on the way. We're also tracking colder temperatures. You will see in my 7-day forecast on Monday especially, and we have a chilly Thanksgiving. Not as cold, but still chilly. We have all those details coming up in my full forecast.
Brian, thank you. Historic floods triggered by a powerful storm spread throughout Washington state and parts of Canada this week. In one Washington town, over 75% of homes have flood damage.
The floods led to a severe weather state of emergency being declared in 14 counties across Washington state. Jen Sullivan shares how people in Washington responded.
As evacuation sirens blared, people fled through rising floodwaters in Hamilton, Washington, clinging to whatever belongings they could carry.
This is the worst I've seen it.
75% of homes in the city of Sumes have been damaged by floodwaters. Flood walls have gone up in Mount Vernon, Washington, and as the river swells, danger is rising.
Oh my gosh, look how high that water is coming out right now over there.
After a potential levee failure was deemed secure, city officials took to Facebook to assure people that they are continuing to take every potential threat to human life, safety, and property seriously.
The whole western Washington, I mean, we're just record rainfall all over Whatcom County up where I primarily work, as well as Skagit County. It's just been nuts.
Multiple mudslides damaged cars and shut down parts of Interstate 5, a main artery of travel through Washington state overnight, Monday into Tuesday.
We've had IRT, or Incident Response Team, as well as a Department of Transportation out with snow plows, actually using snow plows to remove the mud and dirt and rocks from the roadway.
And just across the border, Canadian authorities are posting evacuation orders as rising floodwaters wreak havoc across southern British Columbia, crippling critical infrastructure. The city of Merritt warning on Twitter the water is undrinkable, even if boiled. I'm Jen Sullivan reporting.
That same storm triggered floods in neighboring Canadian cities located in British Columbia. One person is dead and at least 3 more are still missing this week. Officials say they expect the death toll to rise as storm recovery continues. A state of emergency was declared Wednesday in British Columbia after unrelenting rain caused flooding and mudslides across the area. The floods severed access to the country's largest port in Vancouver. That has put a strain on the supply chain for cities throughout the province. Access to some remote towns have been cut off due to flood damage. In one town, up to 400 people have been trapped without power, and supplies are being delivered with helicopters. The country's prime minister said thousands of Canadian Armed Forces members have been sent to help.
We will continue to work closely with the province, with Indigenous leaders, with community leaders to make sure that we are doing everything we can to support the people of British Columbia through this incredibly difficult time.
Trudeau blamed the climate crisis for the disaster. The floods are described as being a once in every 500-year event.
In New England, several rare November tornadoes touched down this week. Check out this video of damage from 4 separate tornadoes that touched down earlier this week. The National Weather Service said the tornadoes were not very strong, but thousands were still left without electricity. Most power was restored by Monday, and the cleanup effort could continue for weeks. No major injuries were reported.
Toxic smog in India has reached a new extreme, and now the government is stepping in. This week, India's Supreme Court is taking up the issue of pollution in the nation's capital. A thick smog has been surrounding New Delhi for days. The government has ordered schools and colleges around the city to remain closed. 6 coal-fired power plants in the area have been temporarily shut down. According to a report by the University of Chicago, air pollution in northern India is 10 times worse than anywhere in the world. Medical professionals say they've seen a spike in respiratory problems in the region. Environmental experts say there's no quick fix to toxic air levels in northern India.
Everyone's had a chance to have their say, and I hope that colleagues will appreciate that what is on the table here, whilst not every aspect of it will be welcomed by everyone, collectively, this is a package that really moves things forward for everyone.
Delegates at COP26 reached a climate agreement after talks went into overtime Saturday. The final agreement explicitly points to coal as the single biggest contributor to climate change. This is the first time any COP agreement has mentioned coal, oil, or gas as a main cause of the climate crisis. The COP26 president had to amend the final version of the agreement by weakening the language around fossil fuels. The U.S. climate envoy described the agreement as a, quote, powerful statement, but other politicians are divided over the success of the agreement.
Of course, my delight at this progress is tinged with disappointment. Those for whom climate change is already a matter of life and death, who can only stand by as their islands are submerged, their farmland turned to desert, their homes battered by storms, they demanded a high level of ambition.
Developing countries have a right to their fair share of the global carbon budget and are entitled to the responsible use of fossil fuels within this scope.
COP27 will be held in Egypt, and it will begin next year on November 7th. Just ahead, where your kids can get their COVID-19 vaccinations.
That's after your weather now.
Welcome back, 8:09 on this Friday morning, and you're taking a clear live look at campus this morning, and it has been a very clear morning compared to some other days that we have had. Now let's transition over to your COVID headlines. The pediatric COVID-19 vaccine was approved for children ages 5 to 11 in October, and since then, kids across Delaware County have started to get their vaccine.
Grace Benkowski spoke with healthcare professionals here in Muncie to see where kids can get the shot.
Once COVID-19 vaccines were allocated at health centers in and around the Muncie area, there was
a lot of anticipation.
Open Door Health Services began providing pediatric Pfizer vaccines to children ages 5 to 11 on November 8th. Since then, they've seen an increase of young patients rolling up their sleeves.
Parents are excited to finally be able to come in and get their kids vaccinated.
This is just part of Open Door Health Services' promise to provide residents of Muncie and surrounding towns health coverage amid the pandemic.
I would say we're definitely on a mission to help people get access to health care and to help stop the spread of COVID.
IU Health Ball Memorial Hospital has also seen young patients at their community pharmacy sites during walk-in hours getting their dose.
Over our first real weekend, Saturday that we had it, I think we had 50 pediatric patients in that 5 to 11 age group that came to get it on a single day.
Since the pediatric vaccine was recently rolled out, Reed understands each parent's decision regarding COVID-19 immunization for their children.
We knew initially there were some families that knew right away they would want to come and get their kids to have that vaccine. There's some others that will probably want to get it, but just don't want to be, the first in the line to get it. And then there's probably another group that probably has no interest at all.
Reed advises parents or guardians who are interested in learning more to visit ourshotin.gov to find out more information.
Families, patients can go there and enter their zip code and find vaccine sites that are closest to where they are or would like to get the vaccine.
In Muncie, Grace Benkowski, NewsLink, Indiana.
Several counties in Indiana have already administered the first batch of the pediatric doses, including Madison County and Boone County. Starting this week, providers can order more pediatric vaccines without having to go through the state. For more information about where to get the shot and to schedule an appointment, go to ourshot.in.gov.
The White House is investing in a new COVID treatment, Pfizer's experimental antiviral pill. The company says its pill can reduce hospitalizations and deaths by 89% in patients who take it within 3 days of showing symptoms. The pill hasn't been approved by the FDA just yet, and President Joe Biden announced Thursday that his administration has purchased 10 million courses of the pill. Biden said delivery of the medication could start by the end of the year, and his administration says it will be easily accessible and free to anyone who needs it.
The Biden administration is continuing its push to increase the number of vaccinated Americans. Now that age 5 to 11 are eligible to be vaccinated, more kids are getting the shot.
The number of people getting boosters is also on the rise, but one of Biden's vaccine policies is facing a challenge in court. Britt Conway breaks down the latest vaccination news.
The COVID-19 vaccination push continues, and there was a 47% boost in first vaccinations over last week, more than double what it was a month ago, partly because younger kids are now eligible. And boosters have gotten their own boost. More than 31 million fully vaccinated adults have gotten a booster. That's about 1 in 6. More than half of them are people 65 and up. But Wednesday, Moderna said it filed for emergency use authorization with the FDA for its booster for all adults. And Pfizer has submitted for EUA for its booster too. The FDA could make a decision on Pfizer's authorization any day, while the CDC's advisors are set to meet Friday to talk about it. But some states don't want to wait. At least 11 states expanded booster eligibility ahead of the federal green light. Some of the same states pushing back against the federal government's vaccine mandate aimed at companies with more than 100 employees. 34 challenges were filed nationwide, some against, others looking for a more stringent mandate. They'll be consolidated and, after a lottery, decided by the conservative-leaning, Ohio-based 6th U.S. Circuit Court of Appeals. The fate of President Joe Biden's most controversial push to date to get Americans vaccinated, now out of his hands. I'm Britt Conway, reporting.
CDC advisors will meet today to discuss authorizing the Moderna booster for all adults. And now I know locally weather, a little chilly. Nationally, I think it's been a little warmer.
Well, let's find out. Let's take it to Kristen.
In our area, we are experiencing low temperatures. Unfortunately, right now, the rest of the country is also experiencing those low temperatures. As we see in Muncie, 33, Minneapolis, 24 degrees, Billings, 38, and even in Los Angeles and Las Vegas, we're in the 50s. Let's see if we have any luck later in the day with these highs. Cincinnati, 36, New York, 42, Minneapolis warms up to about 39, but Los Angeles and Las Vegas, we have 70s and 60s. We're going to stay in this cold temperature trend for a while. We have this jet stream coming in. A jet stream is a river of air that separates the warm temperature from the south and the cool temperature from the north. And as we look in the south, they are experiencing those warmer temperatures. But in the north, we see that we are in the blue area, and blue is a significant sign that we are going to have some temperature decreases. It's going to continue to move up to our north, and because we have these cold temperatures, it is because we have this precipitation line moving out of our area, but following is a cold front. This cold front is affecting the Midwest and the north so much so that we have snow in Toronto and into New York. We can also see in Portland that they have a mix of snow and rain. It is moving out of Portland, but into Idaho. They are definitely getting hit with that precipitation. In the south and the west, not much happening. Not a lot of cloud cover either. Nothing to fully impact or negatively impact the weather. As we can see for tomorrow's highs, they're still in the 60s and 70s. In Cincinnati, 50, warm up a little bit. Minneapolis, not too much warmer, 39. But look at Texas, 74. I would much rather be in Texas right now than in Indianapolis because they are having 70 degrees, especially in the west. We only have 50s here.
Yes, I know, totally coming in with that cold. I don't think anyone was ready for it, so being in the 70s would be perfect right now.
Absolutely. I think I'm about to move to Texas.
Yes, I know. Winter is here for everyone, but it just feels a little bit warmer for them,
I know.
which they get lucky for.
Lucky for them.
Yes,
but
Kristen, thank you.
Yes, and in just a moment, the test on the ground that led to a threat in space.
That's after a message from Mitz.
Riding the bus is an easy thing to do. Last year, we carried 60,000 riders from the Ball State area. 50,000 of those were students. Anywhere you want to go, Mitz will take you there.
Welcome back. The current time is 8:17.
And breaking news this morning that just came in, Moderna announced that U.S. regulators have expanded its booster COVID-19 shot for all adults.
The pharmaceutical company will face its final hurdle today as it seeks full approval for its booster shot. Now transitioning into space, space has a little extra junk after the Russian missile test. The nation fired the missile at one of its own satellites during the test. It created thousands of pieces of debris that forced International Space Station astronauts to take cover. Over 1,500 objects created a debris field that threatened the space station. The test was condemned by the U.S. officials and the scientific communities as a, quote, reckless and dangerous act.
And moving out of space to Australia, one organization got a big anonymous donation, a mega spider. The massive bug is a funnel web spider. It was donated to the anti-venom program in Australia. A reptile park in the country says it is the biggest funnel spider they have ever seen. It measures 8 centimeters from foot to foot. And get this, the real threat is its nearly inch-long fangs. They are sharp enough to pierce a human fingernail. The mega spider's fangs will be milked for venom that can be turned into anti-venom. That's terrifying.
Ooh, I just got the chills listening to that one.
Not as terrifying this cold weather.
Yep.
Yes, Ryan.
Yeah, maybe that spider might make me reconsider because that looked pretty terrifying. At 8 centimeters long. But yes, these temperatures are going to be much colder as we go into the week, especially early next week. You're going to see that here on our full forecast here in just a couple moments. But yes, we're looking at temperatures right now in the 30s and even 20s right now. As you see here, 27 degrees here in Indianapolis, 33 degrees in Muncie, and 32 degrees here at Fort Wayne, 25 degrees here in Lafayette at this hour. Now you look at those temperature changes from where we were at this time yesterday. 10 degrees colder in Shelbyville, 14 degrees colder in Bloomington, 13 in Terre Haute. As you see that those temperatures are much colder. We were seeing 60-degree temperatures earlier. Now we're struggling to get out of the 30s here. You're going to see that more so. And we had the windshields to factor in as well because we've been pretty breezy. We're looking at 27 degrees, it feels like in Muncie, 22 in Kokomo, it feels like only 20 in Indianapolis, 25 degrees in Lafayette. Now, going on for the next 12 hours, you're going to see those temperatures are not going to really move very much. You're going to be in the lower 40s, and we're going to drop back down to the 30s, especially when that sun begins to set. Looking at the radar, you're going to see that we're mostly cloudy right now. And we don't have very much going on, but if I take it out a little further, we did have some snow showers a little bit earlier as we went through earlier last night. As we went through, and this is this cold front that went through and knocked our temperatures down. As far south as even Texas, they even getting on some of this cold weather as well. Now tonight, we're going to see mostly cloudy skies with a low of 27 degrees, one side of southeast at 5 to 10 miles an hour. For tomorrow, as you look at the 5-day trend, you're going to see that it's 48 degrees tomorrow and Sunday. But look at Monday. The bottom really falls out on Monday. Yes, 29 degrees is going to be our high on Monday. We're not going to even get out of the 20s. 44. We're going to warm up a little bit as we head into the Thanksgiving weekend of 44 degrees. Now this weekend, yes, 48 degrees tomorrow, cloudy. We're going to have clouds sticking around pretty much most of the weekend. 48 degrees both Saturday and Sunday, but rain, even some possible snow showers later on Sunday, as you will see here. Now, if you want to go into a little bit warmer weather, well, let's go to Buffalo here for the Colts and the Buffalo Bills game on Sunday as they fare off against each other at 47 degrees at game time, and we're going to kind of go down a little bit to 45 degrees as we go throughout the game. So hopefully the Colts could come out with a victory here, but the biggest victory will be is we are 6 days away from Thanksgiving. I can't wait for that turkey and dressing, but I also can't wait for these cold temperatures to go away. Unfortunately, we're going to be out of luck there, as you see on a 7-day forecast. It's going to be warm this weekend. We do have those rain chances, and even some snow chances here on Monday, but look at the biggest thing, 29 degrees, and even look at the low temperatures, 19 degrees. My goodness gracious, yes, look at that face. A little bit discouraging there. Yes, I don't like it either, you know, but it's how it is what it is. Another cold front comes through Sunday night, going to bring those temperatures back down. And looking ahead, we're not going to see those temperatures really go too far. Unfortunately, it's going to stay pretty much in the 20s, and I mean into the 30s and 40s right there.
Yeah, a little cold, but it's getting us in the holiday spirit.
Yes, of course.
Yes,
thank
Ryan,
you, Ryan.
thank you. In just a moment, we'll introduce you to a dog who has been on a rocky road to recovery, how he and his family are looking for help.
That's after Your Weather Now.
From the heart of Ball State to the heart of your community, NewsLink Indiana brings you local and state news you care about. We pride ourselves with giving you the most reliable news coverage, stories that affect you, linking you to the community each night on air and online. NewsLink Indiana, bringing news to the heart of your community.
Welcome back. More breaking news this morning. A few minutes ago, Moderna announced its booster shot will be open to now all adults. And now Pfizer says the FDA opened its booster to all adults in the U.S.
Both boosters have been now approved for some adults, and they're still waiting for final approval today and a call for mistrial, Shaman sentence, and Senate conversations.
Let's take a look at this week's News Minute. A Wisconsin jury continues deliberation over the fate of Kyle Rittenhouse. The defense is calling to plan for another mistrial for the second time. This is the issue regarding a drone video that the jury has asked to review. The footage wasn't submitted until 5 days into the trial. The defense says they did not have enough time to review the evidence. The prosecution says the video is vital because it contradicts statements made by Rittenhouse during the trial.
We all need to be patient because the last thing we can do is to act devoid of compassion and tell someone they're nuts.
A federal judge sentenced Jacob Chansley to 41 months in prison this week. Photos of Chansley went viral after the January 6th Capitol riot. Online, Chansley was referred to as the QAnon shaman. Federal prosecutors asked for a longer sentence so his case could be used as an example. Chansley previously agreed to pay $2,000 in restitution.
What we have before us isn't a social spending bill. It's a pathway to socialism.
House Democrats pushed back a vote on a multi-trillion-dollar economic bill known as the Build Back Better Act. That's after the House GOP Minority Leader Kevin McCarthy delivered a more than 3-hour speech Thursday night stalling the vote. Democrats have been negotiating elements of this bill for months to get support from their full party. They had hoped to pass the bill Thursday. The House reconvened this morning at 8 o'clock. Now turning towards the weather, we've seen a variety of weather this week. We've seen snow, we've seen drizzle, and we've seen temperatures drop from 40 to 60 degrees.
But luckily we haven't seen any hail quite yet. But how does hail form? Oliver Moster is here breaking down the science of hail.
I'm Oliver Moster, and just like Anna said, I will be breaking down the science of hail this morning. Now, we don't usually get huge hailstones here in Indiana, but if you did get a huge hailstone, you could cut it open and see that it looks a little bit like a target with clear ice and cloudier ice inside this hailstone. Now, why does it form like that? Well, first we have to start with something. This middle part is probably something called graupel, G-R-O-U-P-E-L, and it is formed in the top part of a cumulonimbus cloud above the freezing line. Now, that piece of graupel is going to drop through the cloud, but if there is a strong enough updraft, is going to be pushed right back up with supercooled water droplets connecting and molding with it so that we get a little bit of a cloudier exterior around the graupel. Now that hail can go through this cycle many times. In Indiana, it probably doesn't go around so that it gets to this size, but then again, this is not drawn to scale. This would probably be about an inch in real life. The biggest hailstone that I could find was about 8 inches, which is actually just about this size, which is a very big hailstone, which could cause a lot of damage to you and your house. So if there are strong winds, that means a pretty strong updraft coming into the cloud, which means that hailstones, if they are likely, are going to be a lot bigger because they're going to be going through the rinse, rhyme, and repeat cycle many times, which could cause damage, again, to you and your home. So I would suggest if there is a warning for severe weather, then you should probably stick inside. I'm Oliver Moster, breaking down the science of hail. Back to you, Becca and Anna.
Oliver, thank you. And this week on our Adopt a Paw segment, we're showcasing a dog who has had a very good start to the world and is in need of some help. Everyone meet Ross. This sweet, cute boy is a 3-month-old chocolate lab mix. Earlier this month, Muncie police were on night patrol when they found Ross covered in fleas, malnourished, and with a broken leg. Upon examination by a veterinarian, it was determined that an older fracture has previously healed in his rear leg, causing complications. This unfortunately means that Ross's rear leg will eventually have to be amputated. Surgeries will be performed to help provide him with some normalcy in life, but the costs are quickly adding up. Fortunately, one of the officers fell in love with him and will be in his care during the surgeries and eventually become part of the family. And a GoFundMe has been set up to help pay for the medical expenses. And if you're interested in donating, you can head over to Muncie Animal Care and Services Facebook page.
And speaking of animals, 2 Indiana residents got a special reward from the president this week.
A pair of turkeys received presidential pardons. Peanut Butter and Jelly are from a farm in Jasper, Indiana. They were selected as National Thanksgiving turkeys yesterday by President Biden, saving them from a grim Thanksgiving fate. The practice of pardoning turkeys dates back to 1989. Now the pair will head to Purdue, where they will live in an indoor space with a shady, grassy area. And Ryan, let's get one final look for our Thanksgiving weather.
Well, Thanksgiving is going to look pretty good as you see it over here, but not be at the beginning of the week. We're going to see temperatures pretty much stick around in the 20s. Look at Monday, 29 degrees. That's not my ideal weather, but we do warm back up a little bit on Thanksgiving Day at 46 degrees.
Ryan, thank you so much. That's all for Cardinal Weather this Friday morning. Thanks for joining us.
Have a great rest of your day and have a fantastic Thanksgiving.